Hey guys, Brand Flakes here. I guess my name's Melanie Flakes on YouTube and Twitch, but you guys know who I am if you've been around. Going to be going with an unscripted video this time. Sorry about the mic audio. You guys get to hear all the things that I usually cut out, like my breathing, my mouse clicks, my typing, when I do these real recorded videos with scripts, with editing, so a bit of a lower quality video, but I want to put out content more regularly for you guys, and honestly, a tier list is the best way I could think of, especially since I haven't done one of these videos ever. So this will be a tier list about climbing to gold, assuming that you're a brand new player. Maybe you're just level 20 and you just really want to climb with the easiest set of skills, or easiest, like, I guess most versatile set of skills on a character to get to gold. And so these are characters I think that will get you there. These characters are not actually, or rather this tier list is not an indication of how good the character actually is in terms of like skill expression or even skill ceiling. You'll see a lot of characters that I'll put lower in the tier list that are really complex and actually very good, but they're complex, right? So they require a bit more skill, they require a bit more education and macro knowledge, and a lot of characters that'll go in the top where while they might not be necessarily that great once you're with better players, they will serve the purpose of getting you up and to gold where you get the cadet skin. So let's get started. Enough talk. You guys will see very soon why I personally always do scripted videos, because they always ramble and get off topic, and I'll try and go fast just because, again, I don't want to take too much time off you guys' time unless you're listening in the background, and that's perfect. Anyways, let us start with the first character on this list, Adela. Adela as a character, I'll put her B, I guess it's a good start. So Adela as a character, she has an extremely high skill ceiling, but she is kind of complicated for a beginning player. She has a lot of skill shots, she has a lot of interactions in her kit that are kind of complex, and she does have a really strong kit. And the reason why she is B tier despite having this complexity and despite having this difficulty is because of how robust her kit is. You have a lot of safety through her pawns, her knights, her rook, and her ultimate, which gives her invisibility frame. And she's honestly quite mobile and quite durable for how much burst damage she does. You will run into a lot of issues with doing damage as you play this character, but even if you play her as safe as possible, you can still get a lot of kills by accident just by ulting and right-clicking people. And so I think while she honestly might be C tier, but just because of how well she can rat if she wants to, I'll put her B tier for now. Adriana, I'm going to put D tier purely because this is one of those very mechanical characters. You'll have to put in like a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen, 4 dozen hours into this character, even in normal games, before you really get a hang of how her spacing works, how her skill aiming works, how her entire kit works. So I would not recommend this character for you if you're just trying to get cadet. If you love this character, go for it. If you get good at her, she is insanely good, even when she's quote-unquote bad. But if you were just trying to get to gold, I would not recommend Adriana at all. And kind of continuing that trend, Aiden is pretty bad when it comes to new players getting rewards on him. He's another extremely high execution requirement character, so I would personally just say don't bother if you have a choice, because again, he has a lot of skill shots, he has a lot of combos, a lot of animation cancels they have to get used to, and if you're just trying to get to gold again, no point. Alex, he is another one of those complex characters, but his kit is naturally very good at ratting, but that's about all he can do. He can get away from a lot of fights that a lot of other characters can't. He can kind of steal kills. If you play the crit build, it makes him a lot easier, but unfortunately a lot of his actual damage output is through his combos and his abilities. And so that's the reason why I can't put him above C. Again, he is really good at staying safe, he's really good at ratting, he is really good at, just keeping to himself the entire game. But if you don't know how to play him and you're not comfortable with his, 15 million animation cancels, you probably won't get that many kills. But if you just want to survive, Alex is good for you. Aya, I'm going to put into the A tier. I would put her higher, but unfortunately her best style of climbing play does require you to be a bit more aggressive and understanding of what fights you can and can't take. But if you're just trying to get through the game and you want to be a really aggressive player, Pistol Aya, Sniper Aya, AR Aya, all 3 open types for Aya are insanely efficient at punishing new players, because honestly, The skill floor for Aya is quite low. At the base level, you just max Q, press Q on people, and right click them, and if the other person's new, they won't know how to deal with you, and you'll see a lot of free kills that way. That being said though, she is quite fragile, so against, I guess, more experienced players, you'll be punished for overextending, but against other fellow new players, if you want to play aggressive, just learn to just get a really fast ball on Aya, find the nearest person to you and start shooting them, and you'll probably see the results very quickly. Barbara is a character who is kind of complicated, but she does have insanely good bursts, so if you put in the time just to learn her most basic of burst combos, you'll probably get a lot of kills that people won't think you deserve, just because her ultimate combined with her W laser, the ultimate combined with the Q turret explosion, it does a lot of damage that people won't expect if they're unfamiliar with her, and so I personally recommend her if you want to have a bit more fun with comboing, or just want to take a break from... Oh! You guys can hear the stuff in the background while I'm recording too now, but I'll try and cut the beating part of that out. But anyways, yeah, Barbara is a character that just, she is a complex, but she does do a lot of damage, and she is kind of really good against newer players because of that. Bernice is a character that kind of shares a similar vein as Aya. He is very simple to pilot, he does a lot of damage, he punches bad plays very badly, but he again can get punished by people who know what they're doing. But if you want to go for a fast build and you really want to walk at people and kill them quickly, Bernice is pretty good at snowballing lobbies and getting a lot of kills. He's not necessarily the best at winning every game, but again, if you know how to build fast and then click on the nearest person, you can probably kill a lot of people as Bernice that you wouldn't necessarily be able to kill otherwise. Bianca is going to be in B tier for the same reason as Barbara. She does a crap ton of damage, and her combo is much simpler than Barbara's is. So yeah. She isn't necessarily going to be the best for winning you the game, like Bernice, like Aya, but she does, again, slap the ever-living crap out of people. So if you want to play a cute mage who, you know, plays very like a certain AP Malphite in a certain different League of Legends game, there she is for you. Sadly, Camilo is kind of a shade of his former self. He is a little complex. Unfortunately, even though a lot of higher tier players like to meme that he's pretty easy, he does require a little bit of a skill floor when he's not at his best state, and he's definitely not at his best state now. This character isn't the best at running away. He's honestly not too bad at chasing, but if you want to play a character that's a really good melee character, the next one is better for that, like way, way better. And that's going to be Cathy. This surgeon is possibly one of the most annoying characters to play against in the game right now. She has a really complex kit because you do have to get the suture against other units or other walls when you hit somebody, but the way Cathy is tuned right now means that you can honestly not have to hit your suture a lot of the time, and you still will get a lot of kills. And even if you don't hit your suture, you have a really good ability to rat and run away. She can snowball early, she does great damage at all points in the game, she can third party extremely well, she can run away extremely well. There's almost no other character in the game that has the versatility that Cathy has, and to be fair, Cathy does have her weak points. Like in a month from now, this tier list will be outdated and Cathy might be weak again, but I think for ladder climbing, she will never be below B tier just because of how safe her kit is and how much she can do with third parties. If you're new to the game, I wouldn't bother with Celine if you're trying to climb. Her kit is insanely mechanically complex. She is one of the few characters, if not the only character in the game, who has to input, I think, 15 button presses just for her most basic combo. And you have to do that all in 4 seconds, so yeah, don't play that character. Elena is a character who is extremely good at staying alive. She is known as kind of like the Ice Queen Rat of Lumia Island. Her combo is a bit complex, which is why she's in B tier, but if you want to just kind of like walk away from people, Elena is really good at that. So if you want to play kind of like a cold-hearted queen, you can play Elena, be cute while you're ratting and running away from people, and then once you learn her combos, you can get a few kills here and there. Felix, same boat as Camilo. He is pretty good at getting kills early on, but I think, actually, you know, maybe Camilo or maybe Felix is going B tier. He has been buffed a little bit. He is honestly, he falls out very, very hard, but if you just want to run at people, and again, you're fast at getting builds online, you can kill people pretty easily as Felix. Unfortunately, even if you're super fed, if you don't know what you're doing as Felix, you will still get taken down very early, which isn't something that can be said for these three characters. If you're super fed on any of these three characters, you can misplay anytime you want, and you'll probably still get kills. Felix, on the other hand, he can, you know, mess up here and there, and he'll die for it, even with full Exodia, whereas these characters, they can mess up, and unless the other person knows what they're doing, you're not gonna die, you're probably gonna kill them instead, still. Johann is a character who has a very, very, very high skill cap, and his skill floor is pretty moderate. He is a glove character, so once you get the combo down, he is pretty efficient, but unfortunately, it does come down to getting that combo down. You have to learn how to do the combo, and if you don't know how to do the combo, he's going to be C tier, but if you bother to learn how his buttons work, he's going to be B tier for sure. And if you get good at him, he'll be A tier. You just have to get good at him, and again, this is a tier list for newer players. Trying to get to gold, so Johann is lower due to that. Chiara is going to be S tier. I'm sure all of you guys have had nightmares of Chiara just running at you with her ultimate up, whacking you guys like 4 or 5 times with her ultimate, and then executing you. She's very simple in that regard, and if you don't want to play that aggressively, you can just play tank Chiara, which is still very viable, very durable, very durable, does a lot of damage, very surprisingly, and yeah, Chiara is a character that can get a lot of free kills and scales very well off random items lying around, and she can be played in any which way, and she doesn't necessarily snowball as well as Aya or Bernice, but she will, if you... Honestly, climbing in the early ranks is more about placement if you're new than it is about kills. If you're trying to just like, if you're trying to guarantee gold, and Chiara's very good at that, which is why I'm putting her above putting her above Bernice. Chloe is a character who's really weird. She is technically very, very complex, but unfortunately, or fortunately, if you're trying to play her, her main shtick of her kit isn't really being utilized. Basically, Chloe's a character who controls a doll, which you have to move around with Alt right click, which is very annoying and like not very intuitive because you can't rebind it yet. But all of that is negated by the fact that she has what's essentially unkillable on her ultimate. Your opponent has to kill both Nina and Chloe at the same time to murder you for real. And unfortunately, that's kind of spawned a really toxic playstyle where you just go healing drone as Chloe, press the button, and then right click your opponent. And once again, in lobbies where people don't really know what they're doing, Chloe's going to get a lot of success off that alone. Daniel's a character who is very, very good at ratting. Once you learn his combo, like once you learn how to actually play him, he is easily S tier. But for some reason, he seems kind of complicated. I've personally never had problems learning him or playing him, but I've seen many people struggle with how he works. And that's the reason why he's B tier instead of S tier. He seems to play a little weirdly compared to what people want to play him as. So once again, if you learn his matchups and learn his combos, he is incredibly great at ratting and climbing. Like, he is literally probably the best character at climbing if you understand how to play him. But if you don't, I think he's honestly kind of bad. Echion is in the exact same boat. If you know how to play him, he is easily S tier. But if you don't, I think people just, like, he really falls flat if you don't know what you're doing on him. And you'll see a lot of characters kind of fall into that. Like, you have to know how to take fights as them, because if you don't, you'll kind of just end up dying for free. Which, again, doesn't really apply to Cathy and Chiara, because they both have very easy, oh, I messed up buttons and to walk away. But Daniel and Echion, Daniel a little bit better on it, but Echion, you can easily overextend and get yourself killed, and Daniel obviously can also do the exact same thing, so that's a little bit lower. 11, I will also put in B tier. You see a lot of people are very, very average when it comes to climbing early on, but 11, she is very durable, she's very tanky, but once again, you do have to kind of know what you're doing on her to play her, which is something I personally never had problems with, but I've noticed that a lot of people are uncomfortable with committing her ultimate and taunt when they go into fights, and sometimes they are confident enough, but it's too little too late because they've let the other person scale. It's a bit weird how it works, but again, learn your matchups, learn how to play her, what her combos quote-unquote are, what her transitions are, and she'll easily be S tier for climbing, but again, if you don't know what you're doing, she's B tier. Emma, again, or Emma is one of those complex characters. Basically, everyone in D tier is a character that should be very, very good, but because of how their kit works, is going to be quote-unquote bad, just because you have to understand what you're doing to play them. And again, if you're a new player, you will understand what you're doing. She's a really cute mage. She will reward you for getting good at her, but if you're just trying to get gold, don't bother. Same thing with Eva. You'll probably run to a lot of Evas on your climb, and they'll probably laser you from out of vision and 100-0 to you. And you'll probably complain and be like, how did this guy put Eva so low? And the reason is because a lot of the characters above Eva easily kill her if the Eva makes a positioning mistake. Like let's take 11. If the 11 manages to taunt and ult the Eva, if they're new, don't know what they're doing besides press R, hee hee ha ha, like explode you from a mile away. Eva is really, really squishy and she will explode, and honestly, she has this thing where you have to get level 16 to do damage apparently, and if you're new, you won't really know those strategies. Fiora is another character in B tier for the exact same reason as the 3 characters next to her. I don't want to kind of repeat myself, you guys know the drill. Complex should be S tier, but if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing, so she's lower. Hart is a character that I also want to put A tier. Again, a lot of these characters will be lower because they do have some sort of minimum execution floor. Hart is a character who is also very fragile. You have to know when to press your ultimate to stay safe, but as a character, right now, she's pretty strong. You do have to understand how to fight for first meteor and get there on time, which is the only reason why she's not S tier on this list, is because you have to know how to fight first meteor. But if you get that first meteor, you get that wonderful tonight, you get online, your auto attacks will slam people into the dirt and it won't even be close. Hyejin, another character that falls down because you need to know what you're doing with her. She is a character that has some complexity. Sorry about that, I don't know if you guys could hear me drink that water, but she has some complexity. You have to know how to do spacing. There's crit Hyejin, but again, same issue as Eva, where she's pretty fragile even if she does a lot of damage. But the thing she has over Eva is that she has one of the best mobility spells in the game, and you can just walk away from anything if you want to. There you go. Hyunwoo is S tier. I don't care what anyone says. This character is one of the simplest characters to pilot. He's one of the characters that I tried to pilot when I was climbing a gold, and he got me a lot of MMR when I didn't know what was happening at all. He can be played as one of the best rats in the game. He gets an insane reward if you land his very, very simple game plan of hitting someone against the wall. And that's honestly pretty much all you need as Hyunwoo. If you hit someone against the wall, almost on any build, you will automatically win that fight 90% of the time. And once you're ahead enough, you don't even need a wall to eat people. So if you love running at people and just like right-clicking them, Hyunwoo's really, really good. He does lose some effectiveness once you go against better people because they'll know what you want to do, but against people that don't know what they're doing either, Hyunwoo's probably insane. Isol is going to go up into the A tier for a similar reason as ARI is going up to, and this is very specifically for AR Isol, not Pistol Isol. AR Isol does a ton of damage. You'll notice a lot of the A tier characters are going to be right clickers that are kind of fragile, but their execution is very simple. You walk up to somebody, you right click them, you let your character fire at them, and they'll melt. It's really straightforward stuff. Jackie is the premier rat character of the game. I'm gonna be honest, I think she might be a better rat than Cathy. I know you said Cathy was a... You guys didn't hear that. car, my bad. But Cathy is... Oh, not Cathy. Jackie has never been bad. Ever. You might hear Jackie mains complain that she has a weakness here and there, and that is very true. Jackie does have weaknesses against a lot of ranged matchups and certain melee matchups. However, the issue with Jackie is that she has always been able to do one thing, and that is rat, and that is third party, and that is secure kills for herself by interrupting a fight. And you will notice if you go through the top 100 on DAC GG, which is kind of the premier, I guess like rank tracking, ladder tracking site, there has never been a season where Jackie has just not been in the top 100, despite being such a simple character to pilot, regardless of the build. So if you want to just like climb higher, Jackie's like, you cannot go wrong with Jackie at all. Johann, honestly, he has like this trap strategy, but if you're new, you won't know what that is. I wouldn't bother. Laura, same reason as Alex. She isn't as good as ratting. She has good damage if you know how to play her, but it's not worth the time put in. Lenox is another character who people will complain about once you're good at her, but if you don't know what you're doing, she can die pretty easily if you don't know how to peel for yourself or execute people. She is kind of positionally complex, so I wouldn't bother with her if you don't know what you're doing with her. Once you do know what you're doing with her, she's easily A tier for climbing, at least. Leon is very straightforward. I would put Leon in probably high B tier. His combo is much simpler than a lot of the other characters here, but he does kind of come with the fact that he is more fragile without his W shield up, and his duck dive is a very committed spell. So just kind of learn your limit in normals, and you'll probably be able to take it to ranked very, very easily. I'm personally a Dailin player for the longest time, and it kind of hurts me to put Dailin up in S tier, but I think this character is one of the best climbing characters, and she has been for a very, very long time. I think even when Dailin is at her worst state, she is at worst a B tier climbing character, and I'm probably coping on that. She is a little complex when it comes down to it, like her combos are kind of weird, but in the end, you can't go wrong with queuing somebody with 40 BAC, auto-attacking them for all three Q casts and then ulting them. Her simplest output does so much damage at the moment, and it's really hard to go wrong, especially against people who don't know how to properly interrupt you or space against you in that regard. I'm going to put Luke into high B tier. I've heard that he's pretty good at climbing lower MMR, but if I'm being honest, I haven't really seen that many, like, what's the best way to put this? I rarely see Luke mains that have been stuck in bronze and silver climb to gold very quickly. So while he is a pub stomper, I think he might either gain very low LP per win or per game, or he might lose a lot just because you have to play aggressive as Luke, and it just ends up being kind of like a wash overall, despite the fact that Luke is quote-unquote the low elo pub stomper. Magnus, another character that's insanely good for ratting. He gains defense as he drops lower. He has one of the best ratting abilities to his bike. He has one of the most straightforward win conditions, just like Hyunwoo, where he knocks you into a wall, he presses hammer skill, he presses his ultimate, and then he presses W, and you might have a chance of dying. Or if he's playing the auto attack version, he just knocks you into a wall, bat skills you, and right clicks you, and then if you're getting away from him, he bikes you. He's simple, he's straightforward, he's very hard to mess up. If you really want to play Tank Magnus, you can play Tank Magnus and you'll almost never die in this current meta if you play it safely. Mai's a character who she has a really strong game plan, but that game plan is running at every objective, winning every objective, and getting every objective crafted. If you're a new player, that might be a bit much to wrap your head around, as her kit is kind of punishing if you're behind, so I wouldn't bother with that. Same thing with Nadine. She does scale very well the better you get her, but the idea of hunting is kind of difficult because you have to hunt with some care, and obviously if you're a new player, you have to learn how to use your Q well, you have to use your bow skill, how to avoid bad matchups, how to even get to late game. It's not going to be a fun time, but if you want to learn her, she's really good, honestly. Nathapon is going to be D tier for a similar reason. He's basically completely terrible at ratting. If someone takes a fight with you with decent mobility, you aren't getting away unless you nearly kill that person. Except his combo is also fairly complex to land. You need good timing, you need good aim, you need a lot of things to go your way, like good setup, and if, again, you're a new player, probably won't be the best time for you. Nicky is going to be S tier in climbing because she is one of the safest characters in the game. I think the best Korean player for Nicky is known for taking quote-unquote terrible fights and getting away every time, because her parry lets you dodge in the other direction, and your Q, which is your long dash, is very spammable, and your E, which can be a stun, is very spammable, and the character just does a lot very easily. You might not get that many kills while you're learning her, but in the end, if you are simply trying to climb by taking really good engagements for yourself, or even just getting away, Nicky is so good at that, it's crazy. Rio is a character that I think she might be in low B tier. Actually, no, I think she's in high C tier. She's again a character where you need to know positioning, you need to know where you're aiming and why. I think against certain other new players, you might just be able to get free kills because they don't know that you're just right-clicking at them and you're allowed, and they can jump you. But if we're going to the point where the person is just going to play completely incorrectly into you and you're going to win that fight regardless, I think everyone in S tier, A tier, and B tier is going to be a little more consistent in taking people out and getting away if they kind of mess up that engagement. Rozzi is going to be kind of the same deal. She's really good at punishing new players who don't know what her damage is, but in the end she can run away, which is why she's in a D tier, but her kit is very straightforward, but at the moment it seems that she isn't the best at climbing, which is weird, because in my head she's really good against a lot of the meta characters, but it seems like she just gets outdamaged. If you find an A or Isol, Bernice, Chloe, there's a very good chance they might just right click you before you right click them, and that's just bad. Shoichi is also another complex character. He's really fun to play, he's really fun to master, but again, if you're just trying to get gold, he's gonna take a while to even get online in terms of minimum effort, so that's why he's D tier. Silvia is going to go into high A tier. She should be an S tier, but she is kind of that bare minimum complexity where I can't put her in S tier because even knowing her basic combo does require some amount of effort. However, with that said, if you're playing Silvia the, I guess, lowest minimum effort way possible, she is incredibly easy. You just farm bike, you literally just farm levels, play until the very late game. Like, you can run away from every fight you want to, unless the other person's incredibly fed. And if we're being honest, if Silvia can't run from the fight, no other character can. So if you die on Silvia and you tried running away immediately, odds are you would have done it on anybody else, and there'll be a lot of that motorcycle. There'll be a lot of bad engagements that you will run away as Silvia that you would have never gotten away on any other character. So she is incredibly safe. She has a really easy game plan of just, you know, farming, making items, hitting people safely, walking away, and then getting to late game. And her skill cap's very, very high. You might not find as much reward like as playing the S tiers, obviously, but if you want to just get high elo and like just be that pest that constantly circles for a third party, you can be that with Silvia. Sissela is really fragile. Again, same problem as Eva. She does a lot of damage if she catches people, but you are very fragile, and a lot of new players probably won't be able to get that quite up. Sua is pretty broken right now. I think the only issue that new players have with her is that they don't know how to play aggressively with her, but she is very, very safe. She has an 8-meter dash on her basic ability, which she can mimic with her ultimate, so she can dash I think that's 16 meters total. And if you have her passive available and you auto with 35% cooldown reduction, that 8-meter dash is a 4.5 second cooldown if you auto 3 times. Yeah, it's not short. So if you kind of want to play a mage that like is on like again is cute, has some of the best skins in the game, she might be nerfed pretty soon, so maybe you should get ahead and get started on it, but she does do very well. She is, again, if you want to run away, you can run away, and honestly, if you just bonk people with your books and even land 1 Q and E, you'll win a lot of fights against a lot of people, especially on lower elo. Well, they'll start panicking, running away, and you just keep following them because Sua is very fast. She has one of the best dashes. She is great at catching people if she has any items. Tia, again, one of those complex characters. She is really good in the right hands, but if you're new to the game, maybe your hands aren't quite right yet. But if you want to get better at her, please do. She is pretty fun. Her complexity is pretty high, but again, if you don't really know how the game's playing out, having to deal with Tia's pains is also very obnoxious. That'll be the same thing for William. William is probably the least forgiving out of all the like auto attackers up here. He does scale very well with skill. He is very cool. Like his smoke bomb, fireball, dash, 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 dash combo is very cool. But again, you need to know how to do that micro properly. You need to know how to space properly and how to get into that position properly. And when it comes down to comparing them to like these 4 auto attackers, they don't really have to do that nearly as consistently, and that's why William's way lower. Shokai, even though I want to put him higher, he is, I guess, complex apparently for a lot of new players. He has this thing where he needs to cook, and you probably don't know what cooking is at all as a new player, but if you put that bare minimum effort into learning how to cook, and you put that bare minimum effort into understanding how his fights work, he is pretty easy to rat on. You can get a lot of cheeky kills early game and late game because people don't think you'll do damage, but early game Shokai with Spear does do a lot of damage. Just play around with him. Again, the hardest part is learning the food, which is a lot to memorize, so I don't have a video on that yet. Maybe I will soon, but if you guys don't know, there's a lot of videos on food creation, and so maybe those videos will help you out if you want to learn Shokai. Yuki is, honestly, his skill cap's pretty high. I'm gonna put him A tier because he is a very good rat. He is a very good scaler. He is pretty cheesy. You'll get a lot of early kills with dual swords or two-hand by walking up to somebody, critting them with Q, and they'll melt, but he isn't quite nearly as good as everyone S tier. He is more straightforward though. His combo is literally just E auto Q. It's just knowing the matchups, but you can also run away pretty easily. You have a lot of options. Your early game cheese is very good, and you can snowball. So Yuki isn't ever going to be that bad for climbing low elo, but he's going to be on and off for climbing higher elo. So here's another character who could be very good once you're good at him, but this isn't a tier list about how good a character is once you're excellent at them. This is a tier list about how good a character is at getting you to gold. and Zahir requires really good aim. So if you have good aim, go for it. Your mouse accuracy is insanely like Moi Chef's Kiss. You can probably play Zahir fine, but if your mouse accuracy is like mine and it's like very wobbly, I would not bother. Jenny is going to be probably the only like real ranged auto attacker that is going to be low B, because she is very fragile. She does require to have good kiting, good spell usage, and in the end she doesn't quite have the same auto damage output as everyone A tier. And again, she does have much better self-peel, much better movement, but that's something you gain over time and won't something you necessarily will have as a new player. Adina is really complex. I personally find her really, really fun, but it's hard for veteran players to wrap their head around conjuncts, and if it's hard for veteran players, I wouldn't recommend her to a newer player. Priya is a character that theoretically should be good at climbing, but her stats are so low and her damage is so low that you have to basically play keep away and like play very, very kitey and run away, and it's hard to understand when to go and when not to go, and that's Priya, so I just wouldn't pick her. Marcus is going to be, so I would personally categorize Marcus, Hyunwoo, and Magnus onto the same like little cluster, except Marcus has this thing where you actually do need to hit your spells like properly to win with them, and he has to hit every spell properly to win, which wouldn't be that big of a deal if he didn't have 4 spells that you need to, or 3 spells rather, you need to properly use, and the secondary resource mechanic that you have to properly manage. Hyunwoo and Magnus don't give a flying monkey's bum worth about their quote-unquote special mechanic because they don't have a secondary resource, but Marcus does need to care, and you can mess up a lot of kills like that. But yeah, just gonna be a quick rant. I tried to keep this short, so sorry if the quality of the rambling wasn't very good, but if you guys just wanted to have like a quick listen to while you were like working, eating lunch, watching another video, or just like, you know, playing it, putting it on the background, I hope this is helpful for you guys, and yeah, I hope to see you guys next time. The next Chills video I'll do will be a bit higher quality than this. I just want to put this out there because I know that the season rewards were released for Luke, so I just want to get this out there early just so you can get some practice in as your preferred character. Once again, everybody C tier and above, if you're looking to get into gold as soon as possible, everyone, I guess B tier and above is totally fine. C tier and below, I would say they do require a little bit of investment to actually do well on, but every character in the game can get gold very easily if you are good at them, so don't take this as a deterrent for, you know, oh, I see that Priya is D tier, I can't play her anymore, get to gold. If you get good at her, you can get her to gold, you just have to put that time in, as opposed to like someone like Jackie where you just like read her skills once, play her once, and you're like, I get this, and then you could get gold without ever having to learn the complexity of the character, if that makes sense. But yeah, I hope you guys have a good night, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, apologies for the much lower effort on this one, but again, just want to keep on top of the YouTube game, and this is how I'm planning to do it. With that said, I hope you guys all have a good night. Looking forward to my next new video. If you got this far, you know, leave a like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do, or, you know, just keep autoplay on. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night, or good morning, or good afternoon, or whatever time of day it is, I don't know. Bye-bye.